The following content is not suitable for children.
Sex expert Lori, here we go today. Let's talk about what turns men on.
Oh, I am so glad we're talking about this. I'm so excited. I'm going to pick your brain, G.
I'm going to pick your brain. Between the two of us, we're going to try to give some helpful tips that maybe can kind of lead to a little bit more sex. What do you think, Lori?
Okay, that's good.
Welcome to Foreplay Radio, Couples and Sex Therapy. I'm Lori Watson, your sex therapist.
And I'm George Fallon, your couples therapist.
And we are passionate about talking about sex and helping you develop a way to talk to each other.
Our mission is to help our audience develop a healthier relationship to sex that integrates the mind, the heart, and the body. All right, so what are you thinking? What's the magic? Is there something out there that's going to
turn men on? Well, I think what women think is smoking hot body, and probably next would be smoking hot body, maybe a pretty face.
And number 3 is a smoking hot body.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Well, we're going to get into this. There's so many, every man is different. And we got to dispel some of these myths that you just got to breathe and that's all it takes. And a man is ready to go. And I think we're going to find out that's not the case all the time.
Yeah, that's true. So we've borrowed from Michael Castleman's work and his blog and Psychology Today. He's a buddy of mine, endorsed my book, which was so great. But he says that this study that they did with men who were older than 30 was really the number one thing was men who felt desired by their partners, being wanted.
Yes.
And it's not that, they argued with that idea that men lust and women want to feel desired. He said, no. Men want to feel desired too.
Good job, Michael. I like it. Mm-hmm. I wholeheartedly agree with that one. And my feedback from working with so many men is exactly that. I think that's what they like when they're watching pornography, right? The women in pornos are like, they want sex for themselves. They're turned on. They want their partner. You can feel that passion and that desire. And that's intoxicating for a man to know that, who they are is desired and wanted.
I think that is so true. And women sell men short on this. They don't realize that they need to put that out there and really lust sometimes themselves and verbally tell their men how attractive they are and come on to them and, sometimes be aggressive, sometimes be the initiator. I think it's so human to want to feel desired. It's compelling. And I think it's magnetic. We know we're attached and connected if our partner wants us sexually.
You know how I know scientifically how this is definitely correct?
How do you know this?
Because the biggest turnoff is the exact opposite. The biggest turnoff is rejection. Mm-hmm. Right? What's the opposite of rejection? Being wanted. I mean, This is a huge turn on for men and nobody's talking about it, right? We want to be wanted. We want to know somebody's not just doing it to make us happy. That's not working. They're doing it because they can't help but want to do it. I mean, that's what's such a big turn on.
I think you're absolutely right. I love that. The opposite of feeling desired is being rejected. And we know that hurts. And we know men get tired of always being the initiator. We know they turn off from that, especially when their partner isn't up for it. Over and over and over, who would keep going? And I got to say, the human race would have stopped long ago if men didn't have the courage to keep initiating. Because so many men do, right? They do keep going in the face of rejection.
It certainly helps men have that high testosterone sometimes to get them over that mounting of being afraid of rejection and being able to take that risk. But I appreciate that you're giving them some credit for it's not easy to always initiate. And you can make it a lot easier just by partners letting men know they're wanted.
Yeah, I think it's more than just testosterone. They have courage. They keep going and they know how good it feels to be connected, and they look at their partners. They're like, you know what? She's happier. She's better. She's nicer. Everybody kind of needs to get laid every once in a while. And they know that and they keep going for it. And I applaud the men who have kept going and found a sexual relationship with their partner because of their courage too.
Yes. And we don't want to get a lot of emails. We'll spend another show on the good reasons why women don't express this desire and things that shut it down. But we're just really keeping our focus here on the men that's saying if you want to get them going, you want to hit that gas pedal that turns it on, show this desire that you're not just doing it to make them happy, but you want them so badly.
Right. You want them. George, sometimes you say men want women who want it for themselves, want sex for themselves, which is probably true, right? It's that way you have kind of the goose that laid the golden egg. You don't just have the golden eggs, which is the sex event, but you have somebody who keeps producing that because they want it.
Yep.
So I understand that, but so many women, they can want their guy, they can want their husband, they can want their man, and showing that and being vulnerable about that is magic.
That's the golden combination. Right?
Oh, I love it.
The female partner wants it for themselves and chooses their partner to express that want with because they are so special. The combination of that's like double the longings. Who wouldn't want that? How could that not help heighten the sexual encounter when you got all this want coming into it?
Right on. I love it. The golden opportunity. Wait, what did you say? The golden
something. It sounded good. Just anything calling it golden. Right?
Okay. And then 2/3 of the men in this study, 3/4 of them wanted women who desired them. And 2/3 said the thing that turned them on the most was unexpected sexual opportunities. Right? Rather than maybe Thursday night or Saturday night, their partner just gives them the eye and says, boom, it's a Monday. Let's do it on a Monday.
Right there. Boom. That's all it takes is the boom.
Right.
Well, this fits so well to number one, because what is that expressing? If you're willing to have it in a spontaneous moment, you're wanting it because that desire is there, right? That it's just not about novelty. It's what the novelty represents emotionally. It represents that spark, that action, that motivation. And that I think is, that's something outside the norm. It's the opposite of rejection. Here we go with chosen again and all that good stuff. Spontaneity represents it all.
Exactly. And I'm not against scheduled sex. I think that works in a busy lifestyle. But women, even low libido women, tell me, George, that maybe twice a month they have spontaneous desire. And my work is often, can you just capitalize on that? Just send him a text. I don't care if it's 11 a.m. and he's at work. Just send him a text when you feel that and say, I'm thinking of you. I'm thinking about us in bed. I don't care what it is. Just send it. For him to have that expression from her of being wanted in that moment in a time that he's not expecting it. Woohoo. That is so hot.
Yeah. We talk about a lot of times the female partner, the willingness is the best they can get to. That's why scheduling is so necessary. And that willingness to show up and let skin-to-skin contact do its work. And before you know, you're getting into it. And that's great. But every once in a while that you can access that desire for you that wants to initiate it, here we go.
And I do want to say a word. I know there's sisters out there who are initiating, and I remember you. So I'm not saying that you wouldn't be doing this, but this helps for a lot of men, if you would initiate in these moments, and you're probably on track already. So keep going.
And again, that I want to translate emotionally to why this is so important. Spontaneity, there's expressing desire, there's creativity, there's fun. There's just so much it taps into that really starts to unleash that excitement.
Exactly. It's excitement. Yeah. And don't we need that in our lives that are filled with work and taking care of kids or, just the mundane chores, paying bills? Sex is excitement. It's the ordinary holiday is what I call it.
It's a little bit of mystery, a little bit of unknown.
Yes.
It's nice to sprinkle that into your relationship.
Yes, into your day. Okay, so what about emotional connection? Half of the men affirm that to become sexually aroused, they want to feel emotionally connected, which is what we've been saying, right?
This one needs highlighting.
Okay.
Because the myth out there is men don't need emotional connection. They just need a stiff heart on and an able body and let's get rolling. But no, this is hugely important. Hugely important. And I'm glad to see this study accentuate what we've been saying. Yeah, sometimes it's cool to have a quickie or anything else, but for so often, sex is the one way men can be vulnerable. It's much more than just the orgasm for most men. And for a lot of women, they get this thought, it's my partner just wants to have an orgasm with me. But no, this is how they are going to connect with you.
And Michael says, it's about maybe that sexual connection through emotional connection happens after you've been talking and you've been vulnerable. Maybe he's been vulnerable. Maybe she's been vulnerable. And there's laughter and there's this deep sense of, we're together. I think this is the reason sex seems hotter when we're at a beginning of a relationship, is because there is often hours and hours and hours of shared conversation. Mm-hmm. I mean, people set aside copious amounts of time to talk. They go out to dinner several times a week. They're talking. They're sharing their histories. It's so much self-revelation, which bonds them emotionally. And then, of course, sex flows out of that.
Right. And it's why the afterglow, typically for men, when I ask those scores with my couples, it's constantly the men who are saying that is so important for me afterwards, to just fall asleep, snuggling or holding. It's like where they feel the most connected, their brain is settled down, and that bond is so strong in those moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they like to fall asleep kind of knowing it's done, right? That they are connected. It's so present. It's kind of being instead of always trying to get there. I love what you're saying. And I think we as women need to hear that. So many women talk about, all he wants is sex. All he wants is this kind of carnal moment. And I don't think that's true. Men feel sex as love so many times.
Mm-hmm. No, that sense of falling asleep, kind of holding your partner. The world doesn't get much safer than that. There's no pressures. You're on the same page. It's just all good.
Sounds good. Well, let's come back and talk some more about what really turns men on.
Woo.
Hey, I just want to take a minute to thank our Patreon supporters. I am very grateful for what you've done, and we'd love to invite the rest of you in on our mission.
Your support means more than you realize, and it keeps this project moving forward, and we're really hoping to reach greater heights.
Find a link on foreplayradiosextherapy.com or foreplayrst.com, and we are so thankful for your support.
Frustrating low libido can be, frustrating. Sound familiar? Visit ADDYI.com/foreplay and complete your online consultation today to see if Addie or flibanserin is right for you. Addie is for premenopausal women with acquired generalized hypoactive low sexual desire disorder, HSDD, who have not had problems with low sexual desire in the past and who have low sexual desire no matter the type of sexual activity, the situation, or the sexual partner. The low sexual desire is troubling to them and is not due to a medical or mental health problem, problems in the relationship, or medicine or other drug use. Addie is not for use in men or to enhance sexual performance. Your risk of severe low blood pressure and fainting is increased if you drink 1 to 2 standard alcoholic drinks close in time to your Addie dose. Wait at least 2 hours after drinking before taking Addie at bedtime. Your risk of severe low blood pressure and fainting is also increased if you take certain prescriptions, over-the-counter or herbal medications, or have liver problems. Low blood pressure and fainting can happen when you take Addie even if you don't drink alcohol or take other medicines. Sleepiness, sometimes serious, can occur. Common side effects include dizziness, nausea, tiredness, difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, and dry mouth. See full PI, including box warning at addie.com/PI or call 844-PINK-PILL. Visit ADDYI.com/foreplay.
We at Foreplay are excited about Addie, and to help share the love, our listeners can now schedule their Addie consultation for only $10. To see if Addie is right for you, visit addie.com and use the coupon code FOREPLAY at checkout to redeem this offer. That's code FOREPLAY at addyi.com.
Back with the emotional importance of turning these men on, Lori. That heart's really important. It's not just about the orgasm. Let's get a little pop back to that heart.
Okay. How do we do that?
Well, again, it's giving men permission that this isn't wimpy or weak or there's something feminine about that. I mean, if you can't get vulnerability through any other way, you should be obsessed with sex. Like, we have to reclaim our own right and dignity to this emotional connection. Right. So again, the more men become comfortable to refute some of the myths that are out there, to say, wait a second, what is wrong with me expressing my love this way? It's physical, but this is how I'm going to get closer to you and connect you. And that's the real goal of sex. It's about strengthening the bond. Yeah, we want to have a good time in doing it, but the more men seize that themselves, it's a lot easier to say, I get maybe you think it's this, but that's not how it is for me. The difference between the intent and the impact.
Absolutely. They need to stand up for themselves in this, that this is another way, and it's also emotional for them. I like that. I think that argument shuts men down. They feel so accused and they feel so bad, and it's not true.
Yes.
So I love what you're saying. And you know, you do a really great job, George, of showing the other side of things, in our work with couples, the withdrawer, maybe what they might be feeling when they're shut down, or the pursuer, what they're feeling on the other side of it, not necessarily just the dysfunction.
The saddest thing for me is when I'm working with men who don't recognize that's what's driving it. Mm-hmm. They actually think it's just about the orgasm and it's just a carnal act. And yet there's so much in them that's driving the emotional push, and they don't even see it themselves. So yes, a lot of what we're doing is we're trying to educate men and women to say, no, look at this, so much more to this plate than this little piece that you're nibbling on.
Yeah. And sexual connection, right? Physiologically, we know it's a good thing for people. We know that oxytocin is released. We know they're going to feel bonded. I love what you said. Why should it be bad that this is the way I connect?
Exactly.
This is the way I love. This is the way I feel loved. You're right. We need to empower men. And I think we also need to empower some women to say that too.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We're equal employment opportunity people here, right? So we go across genders or however you want to identify yourself.
That's right. Also, men, what arouses them is talking about sex. Big surprise. That they love those conversations. I think that's why men ask, was it good for you? Or what can we do different? Or what was that like? Or tell me a better way to do it. And kind of the debrief afterwards, or the morning after debrief is, I think for them, it's what keeps the moment going. It keeps it sexual. And so, of course, talking about sex turns them on.
Again, underrated element that most people don't talk about, because a lot of men don't get a lot of feedback and so often then don't look for feedback, and there's not a lot of talking. Mm-hmm. But yes, I agree with you. I think it's just a way of accentuating. It's like once you start embracing wanting to talk about it, it just makes it more alive, the process. You got more to work with.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that in some ways that's sometimes what the withdrawing partner is afraid of. If I talk about it, it's just going to turn him on. But, it's also going to make it better.
He'll talk beforehand.
He's shaking his head. He's like,
Oh, there's so many twists and turns to this.
There are.
My brain's just saying, how can talking be bad? Beforehand, it builds anticipation. During the act itself, it's just being fun. Afterwards, you're just getting feedback. It's all good. But yeah, you're right. For some people, it's not all good if it's adding pressure.
Yeah. But okay, say it again. Talking about it before is good because it's anticipation.
Builds anticipation.
Talking about it during is just fun.
Fun. You're just shouting out there. It's random things. Just bringing that spontaneity and just unleashing that energy. That's all good.
And talking about it afterwards is good feedback.
Celebrating victory. I mean, hey, it's like you scored a winning touchdown. Don't you want to talk about that catch again and again? Years later, you want to replay it in your head. I mean, that's all what you want to do. Like, wasn't that the greatest position ever? I mean, that was pretty cool, wasn't it? I mean, to me, that sounds fun.
Yep. As a demo right here. Men like to talk about sex, and George has just told us 3 ways they like to talk about it 3 times.
All right.
And then again, right? Glory days.
Just in case you miss it, let me tell you again.
Yeah, no, I think that is great. And so many men would say, yeah, exactly. Talking about it is good stuff.
Right.
So also the visual. Okay, back to smoking hot. Let's hear it. What turns men on about the visual?
Wow, the visual is really good too. Because again, it's such a direct. I mean, that's going to tap right at that physiological response. It's instantaneous, right? So if you see your partner's body or just the way she bends or like that immediately gets your body primed, right? So that visual, is it fine if you're in sweatpants and you jump into bed with the lights off? Yeah, that's all different types of sex. But, to have that visual, to accentuate that, I think that really gets, like, I'd like to see it primes the pump. It starts to get, if we go back to best, Lori, right? What I had best a guy, best sex, so we're talking about integrating the body, the emotions, the heart, the spirit, and the brain, the thinking brain, right? That I had a guy describe to me that his wife came out in red negligee. And red is like a hot color. So just the color makes a difference, right? It was red.
Woo-hoo.
So just that red negligee, boom, it's like the fireworks started going off.
Red for fireworks.
Red for fireworks. So his body's alive and he's aroused and he's ready to go. But then the visual starts the erotic mind. Right now he starts to anticipate, wow, what's it going to be like to take that top off? And, what am I going to do next? And what's this? And so that physiological led to the erotic mind. Right. And then he starts to think about, how important she is to him. Like he wants her and how special she is. And the romantic part starts to come online. And then this guy starts to talk about it. And he just had a moment, as they're kissing where he was like, am I the luckiest guy in the world? Thank you. That gratitude that starts to tap into that spiritual. So you can see how that visual just kind of lights up all four of those components.
It's the brain light up.
The brain light up. I like it.
I think that women don't do the visual because they're so anxious about their bodies. They are not necessarily the supermodel or the beauty queen or something. But what you're saying is a man wants to see his partner. He wants to see her accentuated. He wants to see the way she moves. He wants the lights on, right? You always say, he wants to see her in lingerie or the striptease. It's like the sensual aspect of the visual that it just turns him on. Her. Gosh, yeah. I wish we could bottle that and sell it to so many women to take that medicine. It's so important.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter so much what the body looks like. It's just the idea that you're having fun with it. It's naked,
naked body.
It's provocative, and it's showing. I think men want to do it themselves. They don't mind doing a striptease. They might have a beer belly and a receding hairline, but for them, it's just like, let me take this shirt off. Let's have some fun here. Like they're trying to, if that's what we would take to turn their partners on, I guarantee they'd be doing a striptease every night.
Absolutely. Yep, the visual, so exciting.
The visual is really important. And it also helps men. If it starts the process, it will help them get more in their body. Like they'll be more aware of the importance of some music or the candles in the background or, why we want to do a little bit of massage. It just accentuates the whole process.
I just don't think a man can be a good lover if he hasn't looked at his wife a lot. How can he know where he's touching if he's not looking at her? Right? He's got to see it. He's got to see her vulva. He's got to see her clitoris. He's got to see where he's at if he's touching her. And most men think that is hot. That's on fire. Yeah. And women say, I don't look so good down there. I think I'm ugly. It's like, girlfriend, get over that. Show him. Show him. He wants to see. Yeah. That's the only way he's going to get better. I like how you... It'll make better. Yeah, exactly. So the visual... Wow, throwing a lot of stuff out there, Lori, all these different things that can kind of get these men, the engines running. That is good. This is what turns men on. So most men that I talk to, they can find other women attractive. They're not blind, but most of them find their partner very attractive too. And the fact that she's willing to be naked with him, if she would do it with the lights on, he would really like that. It would be more exciting to him. And I talk to couples all day long, that find each other attractive. I don't necessarily find either one of them that attractive, or maybe they're super hot, but, they find each other attractive, and that's what's important. I think you got to believe him when he says he wants to see you naked, or he wants to see you in lingerie, or he wants to see you so that he can get better at technique. Got to believe that. And you have a right to know what turns you on, right? The partner's not you. They can't know. So if you need visual, express that. You have a right to it. If your partner's not so into it and they have their own issues, that makes sense too. We're trying to hold two different truths here. But I really want men to stop apologizing for knowing what turns them on. Yes. Right? To be able to be more confident saying, I'll work with you if things are getting in the way of that. That's fine. But there's nothing wrong with me liking these things and expressing my love for you in this way. I had a girlfriend. I was early married, and she was talking about her husband wanting the lights on and touching her. And she was not feeling very confident about her stomach. And he was touching her stomach, and she's like, oh, no, don't. And he goes, you know what? If you don't like it, you do something about it. I like it. I'm going to touch it. End of story. And it was so powerful for her to accept that he liked her body, period. And if she was hung up about it, she had to do something about it, but he wasn't going to lay that on her. He was going to touch wherever he wanted to touch. And he wasn't going to kind of deal with her her self-consciousness and have it limit what they were doing in bed. And I mean, he was kind of forceful about it, and it worked for her.
I love that, because most men would take that as rejection. And that starts to put the brakes on the process, so that he was able to push, and, you know, in a respectful way, because if she keeps having issues with that, then it's not going to be so easy. But in this case, he was able to push past, and she was able to kind of get into it, right? But that he felt there's nothing wrong, that I like my wife's belly just the way it is.
Right,
and, you know, that they could have a conversation. I think that's fabulous.
Yeah, it was the visual. Okay, so we've got what really turns men on, feeling desired themselves, an unexpected sexual opportunity or emotional connection, talking about sex, of course, and the visual.
A visual.
Of their partner.
All right.
Okay.
Homework assignment, listeners. Try a couple of these on. Let's see what happens. Give us feedback.
Negligees. No, don't send us pictures of those, please. But you know what? We would love for you to follow us on Instagram. We put a ton of energy into Instagram. We do some graphics about sexual and an emotional connection. And please find us at foreplay_radio sex therapy on Instagram. We have like 7,600 followers. We'd love for you to follow us there and comment. We post our episodes and stuff about what we're talking about. We try to teach there. So please, and share it as well. That would help us a bunch.
Yes, and spread the word. We need your help. Healthy perspective on sex. We have enough bad myths out there that aren't working. We need some help to spread some good ones.
So thanks for listening.
Keep it hot.
Keep it red.
Keep it red.
Call in your questions to the Foreplay question voicemail. Dial 833-MY-4PLAY. That's 833-MY-4-PLAY. And we'll use the questions for our mailbag episodes. All content is for entertainment purposes only and should not be considered as a substitute for therapy by a licensed clinician or as medical advice from a doctor. This podcast is copyrighted by Foreplay Media.